Hi everyone, my name is Sandeep Saib. I'm here to share my mental health journey with yourself. Um, First of all, I'll start with sharing my story and my journey. And it really started in July 2012, where I started having a chat with my cousin. We moved houses and I wanted to get into something. And I had a chat with her and she mentioned jogging and running. So I started to think about that, and then I started to exercise and jog and get more involved in that and get more physical. And it started off it being once a week, then it was twice a week, then it was 3 times a week. Then I found myself doing it daily, this vigorous exercising. It started to control me rather than me controlling the exercise. I started to weighing myself every day. So I had a daily journal of all the key information that I needed. Such as weighing myself, how much did I eat, what time did I start exercising, what type of exercise did I do, and when did I finish. So it was very controlling and very in-depth, and it just spiraled out control, and this was ongoing for a good 2 years. Whilst doing a vigorous amount of exercising, I didn't eat. I starved myself. I started to have random anger outbursts. I started to remove myself from the family, didn't want to talk to anybody in my family, didn't want to go out to meet friends or socialise. So I really sort of kept myself to myself and in my own bubble. And then I just lost a drastic amount of weight. And I had this thought that whatever I did, it wasn't good enough. I had this idea of perfection and being perfect, having the perfect body, having the perfect way of looking in the mirror and being satisfied. Satisfaction and perfection I really strive for. And I was always competing, always comparing myself with other people, always looking at media, social media, magazines, so forth, and just benchmarking myself and judging myself and being really self-critical with the way I look. So in March 2014, after this 2 years of routined, heavily controlled exercising, my mum and dad noticed the red flags, this repetitive behaviour, and the change in attitude of myself and the change in behaviour, and they took it upon themselves to approach me and ask me, Sandeep, we are worried about you. When we're noticing the changes in you as a person, you as our daughter, and these behaviours, and we want to help you. So they suggested booking a doctor's appointment. So I went to see the doctors and went with my mum, and I didn't really know what to say to the doctors. I was only there purely, actually looking back on it, just to keep my parents happy, just doing it for my parents. And I try to explain as much as I can what I am going through, what are my issues and my problems with the doctor. And the doctor then diagnosed me with anorexia nervosa, body dysmorphia disorder, and OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. The doctor then referred me to 6 sessions of CBT and put me on antidepressants, which is fluoxetine, for 5 months. And I started the 6 sessions of CBT. The first session, for anyone that's going through therapy and counselling, the first sessions are always daunting, are always, you're always on edge. You don't even know what to say. Where do you start? There's all these different thoughts in your mind, but where do you begin? How do you share that with a complete stranger in an hour of this therapy session? So that was very daunting and challenging for me, and I know that's the same case for most people. So I then, in August 2014, I was also placed on the waiting list for the 40 sessions NHS secondary psychological care. I was on the waiting list for, it was a 7-month wait for me, and I know for some it's longer. So I was put on the waiting list. And then mid-August 2014 is where I hit my lowest point throughout my whole mental health recovery journey. I remember it was a day before my brother's birthday on the 29th of August 2014. At that morning, I remember I just didn't want to wake up. I just didn't want to get out of bed. I didn't want to go anywhere, see anybody, talk to anybody. I just wanted to be by myself in my pajamas and in my room, in my bed. I felt really, really heavily demotivated, the loss of purpose and everything you could imagine, and just felt really, really depressed and lonely. I then, my mum then asked me, you try and come along if you can, and do it for your brother. And I remember that, looking back on it, she constantly said, just do it for your brother. He would want you there. Do it for him, if not anybody else. So I pulled myself out of bed and I got ready. I went with the family to the Gurdwara, the temple there. And I remember walking into the kitchen, and I looked around and everyone had a role. Everyone had a purpose. Everyone had a responsibility. They had a reason for being there. And then thinking about that then led me to start thinking about the wider picture. So what is my role in life? What is my role in this family generally? What do I give? And what benefit is it to the family for having me there? So all these thoughts became deeper and deeper, and I started to think more and more about it. And then I don't know what came over me. I just thought, I really don't think I belong here anymore. So I went to the toilets, the washrooms, and went into the third cubicle. And I remember I stood on top of the toilet there, the toilet lid, put the lid down and went on top of the toilet. And I had a scarf around my neck, and there was a light grater just above my head. And I tied the scarf over the light grater, and I just tried to take the life out of me. And I was just straining the pain away, tightening that scarf around me tighter and tighter. I just didn't want to be there anymore. It manifested into not just the exercising for 2 years, it manifested into depression. It manifested into my lowest point, where I just didn't feel I belonged or was loved or wanted in the world anymore. Two thoughts came to my mind in that process, what I call the angel and the devil. The angel telling me that no, your angel voice was telling me, no, you're loved, you're wanted in this world. People want you here. Your family and friends love you. You have a purpose here. They need you. Your brother needs you. And the devil voice in my mind saying, they don't need you. You're a burden. And you will always be a burden. There's no need for you to be here. You neglected your family before. You've threw them out the picture. So the harm is done, and you can't undo that. So these thoughts were constantly going back and forth in my mind. At the same time, just trying to take the life out of me. I just didn't want to be there. And tears were streaming down my eyes, and the and the lack of breathing as well started to begin. So I was just at a face-off, really, with this battle of the angel and the devil, and the voices, hearing voices in my head. Which one do I listen to? And I remember the door opening, and I remember hearing a voice, and a familiar voice, and it was my mum. It was my mum, and she was calling me. She was calling out to me, Sandeep, where are you? And she started knocking at each of the cubicles. She arrived at mine, and she knew I was in there, and she was knocking down. She was wondering whether I was, just to be on the safe side, and when there was no response from me, she was knocking down that door. She was adamant to talk to me and get something out from me. And whilst she was doing that, I was completely zoned out. I was still trying to end my life, squeezing the life out of me. I tried to not hear her voice. I was trying to block that out as much as I can. And just try to do my best to do that. But my mum's voice became more adamant, more powerful, louder than the devil voice. The angel, my mum's voice, became louder. And I started to listen more and more to that voice. And the more and more I listened to that voice and focused my attention to that voice, the devil voice started to dimmer. And I started to listen more and more to the angel voice, i.e. my mum, and I came down from the toilet cubicle, still in tears, still struggling to breathe, just the immense suffering and pain. And I waited for a few moments, then I opened the door, and my mum immediately knew what I tried to do, and we immediately went home and started private therapy sessions whilst waiting on the NHS, and this was mid-September 2014. So private therapy helped me combat more so the negative thoughts, and how I felt, and we did a lot of exercising and evaluating my goals around this depression, this OCD, this anorexia nervosa. Why am I feeling the way I'm feeling, and really break it down. Then in March 2015 to February 2016, I started the NHS 40 sessions. I did private therapy for a year, but it was a bit of a conflict to have two therapists at once, so I had to give up the private therapy and focus on the NHS. And within 3-4 months, I started to feel a difference. I started to stop weighing myself. I slowly stopped exercising. I stopped the food diaries. There was a time also where I used to imagine food. I used to draw out food on paper to pen, anything that comforts me. So it's a safety behaviour and a coping mechanism that I used to do around food. I used to have food wrappers in and around. Didn't dispose of it, but sort of lay it out so I got a visual picture of what I ate. I used to have food in certain bowls and utensils, use a specific bowl if I'm going to have anything, and it's just a tiny bit, but other than that, just starved myself and just felt really guilty. So so a lot of improvements in the first 3-4 weeks of therapy, really trying to find out my core belief, and that was the feeling of being abnormal, looking at my childhood and trying to unpick the problems that I had if you see it as a layers of onion. So really picking each layer and trying to get to the core of why I'm feeling what I'm feeling. Challenging those negative thoughts into positives, rating each negative thought, trying to think more positively about life and about what I went through and the future ahead. So there was a lot of goal setting, as well that I did. And the therapy was brilliant, and I slowly started to wean myself off antidepressants. And I guess post 2016, February 2016, definitely in a better place. Charity is my form of therapy. Started to get more involved in mental health organisations and charities. So I became a London Time to Change champion, and I also became a Rethink committee member. I've been doing those two roles for over 4 or 5 years now, and recently started volunteering for Samaritans as a support volunteer, and obviously for YIS as a volunteer champion. And I also started Happy Heads, which is a non-profit mental health organisation, self-funded, team of 8. 3 of us are co-directors, including myself. And we started this in 2017, so it's been going on for over 3 years now. And we mainly champion mental health, all about celebrating gifts and not labels or the diagnosis that healthcare professionals tend to put on people. It's all about celebrating the person and the human rather than their condition. And the whole heart of Happy Heads is focused around the balance ball, which is a personalised visual recovery tool. 7 areas where you can find balance, and it's a good barometer in that sense. Not to judge yourself or pitch yourself against other people, but a real self-evaluation tool, colourful, creative, for you to take ownership and feel self-empowered to take forward and improve your overall mental health. We do that and promote Happy Heads and the Balance Ball through doing annual flagship events. We did a webinar during this pandemic, 7 back-to-back webinars, unpicking each of the 7 areas of the Balance Ball. We do GP courses, we do roundtables, we do workshops with Mind, as well as any other mental health charity, and to really educate counsellors and therapists as well. So we do workshops with them for them to understand, for them to really understand the core of the balance ball in order to implement it in their one-to-ones with service users. Doing talks, public talks, panel slots, and so forth. And I myself have also got involved with many other activities and opportunities during this lockdown. And I think the huge project this side of the year, was my film being released in early June 2020. On the back of that, led to numerous opportunities, international televised opportunities with charities overseas, podcasts, interviews, joint events, joint webinars, radio interviews, and more. And there's so many more projects in the pipeline. It's onwards and upwards. And I think if there's anything I have to say, and if there's any tips I can provide, is please talk. Please talk about how you're feeling. Whether it's your family member or a friend or someone in the local community that you trust, please do talk, and please do reach out. And please do also know that you're not alone, and you're able to reach out to people. There's so many organisations out there and so much support out there, and community hubs out there, and you're never ever alone. So don't feel like you are. I would also say even trying to do a gratitude positivity journal. Maybe take a few moments before you go to bed, just to reflect on the day, good things that have happened, things that you're happy about, things that you're pleased about, keywords, or just drawing it. So you've got a log of everything